name is Johnny Sabo. I'm the Deputy Director for Georgia Forestry Commission, and good morning. I'm very honored to be here today. Really, first off, I want to extend Tim Loudmore, for those of y'all that know him, sends his regards. He got pulled in a different direction. So I know he really wanted to be here this morning, but I'm sorry you got stuck with the junior varsity program, but I promise you I will give it my best. Also want to take a moment before I get started to recognize a few of our folks that we have here. We just recently hired a new forest protection chief or fire chief, and that is Thomas Barrett. Thomas, if you could stand up, sir, and let folks see you. So Thomas actually doesn't start till July 1st, but I've already thrown him into the deep end. So feel free to ask him anything you want to. Also, Chris Butler. Chris, if you will, sir, stand up. So Chris is our region manager for this area. So everything that happens operationally falls underneath him. So if you're a local landowner consultant in here and you do not know Chris, please go introduce yourself. Chris is here to serve you. So my topic was state of fire in Georgia, and that's pretty open. So I took some liberties, and if I don't get to something that you were hoping to hear about, please come find me during the break, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Just a few accomplishments that I want to go through this morning, and really just looking at some things we've done, some things we've done statewide. Talking about this past wildfire season for us, our fiscal year ends this June. And then talking about an outlook, and I think that'd be pretty important to some folks in this room. Just some few key indicators about us, just the amount of personnel. I'm not going to go through every bit of this, but really it's kind of been a banner year for the Georgia Forestry Commission. Through a lot of different challenges, slight reorganization, kind of a wet year throughout parts of the state. New PM 2.5. I feel like our folks have really risen above to accomplish some outstanding goals. One of those goals I really want to highlight, and we're going to make sure we highlight and promote this, but last October, we challenged our folks to do 20% more. And that 20% more could have been anything from prescribed fire, landowner services, maybe 20% less accidents. How do we do 20% more, but how do we really get out there and serve our community and be relevant? As of today, and this information was updated yesterday, we are 35% over our 5-year average for prescribed burning. That is a lot of hard work in a very short amount of time by a lot of folks. And I just want y'all to know that they are here burning for you on your property. And that really means a lot to me. I think that speaks a lot about their dedication. The amount of fire break installation, we have a conversion factor that we use to track mileage. Let's put it this way. We could have circumnavigated the globe with the amount of fire breaks that we have installed this year. So it's been a lot of seat time on a tractor, a lot of getting out there, and really just want to highlight that and highlight our folks for just a moment, because they have been pushing themselves this year. Something new that we've really started this year is burning with drones on private lands. We've worked with DNR for years to burn on their lands, and we appreciate that because it kind of helped us work out a few kinks. And we stepped it up this year to start to burning on private lands, and we're walking it slow, right? You can put a lot of fire in the ground very quickly, and the last thing we want to do is threaten somebody's investment, their retirement, their grandchildren's college funds, whatever that may be for them. Little over, I think 1,000 acres that we've done with the drone, just a few key landowners so far. We actually did a site prep burn in Lanier County yesterday with it. Something that those of y'all that's burned site preps, that's rough walking, rough work, a lot of hazards out there, a lot of potential for injuries, just wearing people down to where maybe they aren't fresh to respond to a fire later on in the day. So there's quite a bit of room here for us to really increase with drone technology. The other thing it does, and I'm a big fan of, is smoke management. We're going to hear PM 2.5 later on today and some discussion about that. But from a smoke management standpoint, we're starting lighting around 9:30, 10 o'clock. We're usually done around 1 or 2. That smoke is up and out, and we don't have any lingering issues. So if you're interested in drone burning on your property or doing some more of that, please come see me, any of our guys. And like I said, we're looking to really start pushing that program forward. Few other things, we've had 6 sessions as far as prescribed fire training that Eric mentioned, certified burner that Eric mentioned. We got a couple more coming online. And if we have a large enough group and a need to do that, come see me, come see Ken Parker, and we are happy to put on another class. You know, our goal and it should be everybody's goal really is that we're all singing from the same sheet of music, right? We all have the same goal of utilizing prescribed fire and keeping it relevant in our state. So if you have any interest in that class, please come see myself or Ken. The other thing that we've done this year, and Ken really took lead on this, but Georgia's the first state in the nation to offer a reciprocity for other states. So far, 28 additional burners, 5 other states. I believe the largest are Florida and Texas, Ken, is that correct? But if you're a certified burner in an adjacent state and you're burning in similar fuel types, and you're within good standing of that state, you know, we should honor that. The encouraging thing I was told a couple of weeks ago is that Florida and Alabama are looking at coming online and doing the same thing. So really encouraging to increase our workforce and increase prescribed fire in this state. So statewide, really been a banner year. In the last 30 years, it is our 6th highest year for prescribed fire, 1.5 million acres. I mean, that's outstanding. That's way above GFC. That speaks to everybody in this room. I actually got the chance to carry a torch this year, so I actually got to have fun and get out from behind the office and speaking. So I got a real small contribution to it, but I mean, really just an outstanding year. The other part is I want to highlight the silvicultural burning. You know, what us forest managers, what we really actively do more than anything else is up significantly this year. So through a lot of those challenges, a lot of folks have gotten out there and increased it. I can tell you it's my standpoint that it's, you know, it is your right to burn, right? It's our responsibility on helping us do it safely and kind of keeping us within the box, but it's your right to burn. So that's the stance that we've taken, and you can see the results within the numbers. Shifting a little bit to wildfire activity this past year. Nothing real special about this year except for November in the northwest corner, and I'm going to show you some of that in some charts. We got pretty active when the rest of the Appalachian Mountains were heating up, and then we had one weekend in February that was just a lot of folks don't know this or realize it. It looked like an outstanding weekend to burn, and I guess from one standpoint it was, but we actually went fully committed in multiple parts of the state. And so kind of showing that on a graph, you can look what our February looked like compared to some of our 5-year average. I point that out because sometimes when we do ask folks to not burn or we're not issuing authorizations, we don't take that lightly, but it may be something like this. If we don't have a tractor to send anybody within like 3 hours, that's kind of a big deal, right? So we really pay attention to the weather, looking what's ahead, you know, not just that day, that evening, the next day, and all that comes into account when we issue our authorizations. And that one weekend in February really spiked our numbers that high. Really same data, just looking at it by acres. So what does that mean for wildfires going forward? Prescribed fire potentially, you know, this summer, moving to where we kind of stop utilizing prescribed fire, transitioning into the fall. So right now we're not in a drought, but I will tell you there are some parts of the state that are very dry, and we were actually starting to have some fires. We had a 50-acre fire in Haralson County 2 nights ago. That tells me something, right? But when we start looking ahead at our potential outlook, we look pretty good for the rest of the summer, for, you know, moving on into the fall. But something's going to happen this fall, a weather event that's going to shift some things. So I see some nods. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? There we go, La Nina. Thank you. So our precipitation, if you look at it from November to January and look what our forecast is supposed to be, and I point this out because as prescribed fire practitioners, my advice to you is I would have the mindset going into next dormant season burning is if you have the weather and things are right, I would not wait. Because right now all forecasts call for our rain to stop and us to shift from doing prescribed fire to running wildfires. And there's a lot of agency folks in this room, and that means all hands on deck for everybody if we get to that point. Now, I am not a meteorologist, so I'm just stealing information. Don't ask me how they got this. Really just another way to show the La Nina and what's going to affect. There's something else that's interesting that happens with the La Nina, and we're high enough in Georgia here that it's not going to affect us, but can certainly affect the rest of the state. Or once again, for some agency folks, may affect of what you're doing later on this fall. And La Nina greatly affects hurricanes and hurricane activity. So from a prescribed fire standpoint, also can increase the fuel loading and things that we are managing. Just a quick snapshot of last year. It was easy to lose sight of this, but last year we had a lot of hurricanes. Only 3 made landfall. 4th most since 1950. I mean, that's a very active year. The graph on your right is actually the water temperatures. And if you know anything about hurricanes, the storms, the warmer the water usually increases the level of intensity of the hurricane. So the black line is our average. Red was last year, blue was this year water temperatures already. So I throw that in there just for folks to be paying attention, to be aware of what's going on for everything around them. Really, in closing, thank you for everything that you've done through this past year. It really has been a banner year for prescribed fire. I've heard a few folks say we're going to continue to add to the numbers. They got some burns lined up actually this week. So that's outstanding. Don't miss a burn day. That 20% that I started with, that's really what it comes down to is we do not miss a burn day. We don't miss that opportunity. And because there's going to be rainy days, there's going to be something else going on. There's a lot of excuses as to why we can't burn. But if you just go with the mindset of don't miss a burn day, you see the numbers, you see the results, and it greatly, it affects all of us in the state, from the firefighters of actually having a place to make a stand, to the birds and the bees, to the landowners that they like how it looks, right? That is I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but y'all know that's the one tool that we have that accomplishes everything. But also probably one of the most, I don't want to say regulated, but something that's paid attention to, because people that don't understand it, what we just heard the mayor say it, they don't understand it. It can be scary, it can be frightening. So taking that time to educate folks. So in conclusion, what are we going to look for the rest of the summer? It's going to be pretty wet, maybe some good opportunities. We really look like we're going to transition into a significant drying time. Potential increases for hurricanes, and by all accounts, it really looks like this dormant season into next spring is going to be significantly drier if we pay attention to historical trends. I hate to be the guy kind of up here saying bad news, but it is what it is. So don't miss that opportunity. Don't miss that burn day if you have it. The one thing I did not put on there, and it was intentional, was the PM 2.5 regulations. I believe Jim's going to speak about that. If you kind of read between the lines here, we are going to continue to burn. We're going to push as much as we can, but we're going to take the approach of a scalpel, not a hammer. So we're going to work with burners, work with the other agencies to not affect population centers and not necessarily shut it down everywhere. So I ask that y'all take that into account. A lot of times we may be burning up here in the mountains and it settles in on Atlanta, right? If you have the ability, you have the tools to look down range, to run modeling that's above V smoke, do it. You take those advantages and help us continue burning in this state, because it is really important that we all work together. It's hard enough getting our hands around just Georgia. Then we got to worry about what's going on in other states and who's sending us smoke. So if you pay attention to Georgia, it kind of settles here. You know, we don't have the clearing winds that a state does that sticks out into the Gulf and the Atlantic, right? So our smoke tends to settle and stay and do some different things. So pay attention to your smoke modeling, what you're doing, but we're going to continue to push burning. It's too important not to. And I really just want to end with saying thank you for everything. It's been an outstanding year, and we look forward to continuing to push and continuing to do more. So with that, I will stop, Eric, and I don't know if I have time for questions or if you want to move on to the next. Any questions? That's perfect. Thank you.